Hello and welcome back to Deconstructed. I'm your host Sam Animo Mackenzie, and with me, as always, Harry Nero Richards. And Harry, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, doing well. 2 in 2 weeks. We're on a bit of a...
In 2 weeks. We might be back. We might.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Extended periods of time are difficult. But anyway, me and you, we've always been blameF defenders. It's hard sometimes. Quite a lot of the time it's actually quite difficult. But we defend him either way just because our mates hate him so much. So we thought today we'd talk about fnatic because they actually made quite the statement signing in bringing in blameF, because it's kind of very different to the signings they've made in the last year, 2 years maybe. But before we actually...
Since Olaf and Crims. It's the best signing since then.
Yeah.
Well, you can say Dennis. You can say Dennis for Pronex, but I still think that was bad. I'm
not going to argue that, but I meant more in terms of...
Fine.
I meant more in terms of policy than actual...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
level
also
of the
true.
Player. Like, it's a policy change. But before we...
Diversion from OG.
Yes, diversion from OG. That's the main thing. But before we talk about blameF on the team, I thought the good baseline would be the current fnatic team, once they've had like a month or two to acclimatise with blameF and figuring out the degree of which he will bait them. Oh, you're going. Bye. See you later. Right, I'll carry on speaking then.
No,
Cheers
I was just shutting my window. I don't want this to be like motorbikes. Carry on.
Okay.
Carry on.
Okay, I'll carry on. That's
People
staying
aren't
in the edit.
watching. They're listening. Fuck's sake.
No, that's fine, but you were just distracting me. Anyway, baseline, this current team, once they've got used to blameF, what level do you think they can be at, realistically?
Oh, we'll have to wait for the world ranking for that, won't we? I would say they're going to be worse than Heroic, but maybe...
No, I need to load it up. We're Heroic,
okay. So at the moment, Falcons are 14th. Falcons should be good gatekeepers, I think, of not utter shit.
Ain't that funny? Falcons, the gatekeepers. That's good. I like that.
Well, blameF should be on Falcons. I don't know what's gone wrong there. It's perfect for Falcons. But yeah, I've got Dupree. Fine,
I just can't really see him and Snappy getting on well, but yeah, I don't hate it.
They've played together before. They've played pugs together. When blameF was benched, he got like 40 kills, and someone put on Reddit like, blameF joining Falcons.
Right.
So I don't know. Either way. Yeah, around there.
Yeah,
around
15.
Better than Big.
It was kind of fair.
They should be better than Big. Got better players than Big. But there's a mess. There's a mess below Astralis, really, isn't there? But I don't think fnatic are going to be that high, honestly.
No, you've got to look. You've got to look 20 to 15.
Hopefully,
right?
top half or top 20, as in 10 to 50. That would be pretty good, I think.
Yeah. Okay. That's a solid baseline of probably where I'd have put them. But so let's move on to blameF then, because he replaced QB, who just not worth mentioning, just really wasn't very good. Just not ready. How big of a signing is blameF? Because really, you're looking at it and you are thinking probably should be on a currently higher reaching team than fnatic, right?
Yeah, he should be, but I think it says as much about how low blameF stock has gone as it does about fnatic punching higher, whatever. I think it's not really a good reflection of what the top teams think of blameF as a player. I don't think Astralis helped. Shit talking him out the door, that wasn't great. Probably could have at least pretended he wasn't a ruthless beta in your interviews. Down and device, like just chuck him under the bus.
That was kind of fair.
Yeah.
As I said, like, we defend blameF, but it was kind of fair.
I want people to be honest in interviews. I'm just saying that's from my perspective. I'm saying from Astralis' GM, he's trying to get money for blameF. It's not very helpful to call him shit in interviews, basically.
It seems it didn't hurt that much, to be fair. He moved quite quickly.
But to fnatic. And this is what we're saying. It's like, we've theory crafted him in lots of very good teams with very good players. Him going to Fnatic might make Fnatic on the level of a blameF team, but before, no way. It's the signing that's elevating them. It's him that's elevating them. Whereas he could have gone into a project that was already on his level, I think. But yeah, sometimes when you stock fools, like Carrigan went to fucking Envy. So like, this isn't that bad. It's not that bad. When you stock fools, and you just have to climb back up. But for Fnatic, yeah, it's absolutely massive. It's huge signing.
Yeah. Do you actually think, though, that it is a case of the stock falling that low, or do you think it's more timing? Like, I'm trying to think in my head. Like, Dupree must have been on Falcons for like a month, right? When blameF was.
Yeah, but that's not a permanent deal. What are we doing? If that's a permanent deal, Falcons, come on.
Well, I'm assuming it's not, but at the same time, like, it's not enough time for Falcons to turn around and be like, okay, Dupree, like, off your pop, son. Like, do you think it is maybe more a case of unfortunate timing than anything else? Because, like, last week we spoke about Liquid as well. Like, there is a world. blameF, turns down Fnatic, waits a month or two longer. Maybe Liquid have a sniff. Like, is it a case of unfortunate timing rather than stock?
What I will say is it's hard, like, on literally looking at the ranking, it's hard to see where he'd fit in because, like, you could stick him in G2, but then maybe, for Hunter, and then Nico goes back to lurking or something.
I'm not sure I like that.
I think
he could do it, but I'm not sure I
he'd
like
be pretty good at baiting Hooksy, but I'm not, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. Someone like Na'Vi, like, he plays a lot of Ema's roles on CT side, but on T side, they'd have to do a lot of rejigging because Alexi doesn't want to be an entry, really. So T side, it'd be a bit weird sticking blame in, but I think they should have explored that. I think they should at least have found out how expensive it would have been. I think Heroic, I wouldn't mess with Heroic structure. Like, complexity, no. Like, just keep a leash and a happy environment. Don't do that. Liquid, you'd want twist rolls. So maybe if, we were talking about twist, maybe wanting to go back to a team that might win something. So if twist
or
goes,
even IGLing, so maybe he'd...
Falcons, slam dunk. You can keep Dupree if you want to keep Dupree, but cut Madden. Just have blameF in star position instead of Madden.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, the European teams, you're down to like the Montes of the world, and I think then that's kind of the Fnatic level. I mean, Ents, he doesn't like Glaive, does he?
No.
So Ents wasn't going to happen. So you are down to Fnatic. Once you're beyond Falcons, you are down to Fnatic. Like, you can see why this has happened. I mean, Nip, maybe for Res, if they were being really ambitious about it, but I think they kind of want a bit of the Swedish core, and again, it's not better than Fnatic. It's similar to Fnatic. It's a rebuilding
but even then,
process.
like, again, that's what I'm saying. It's like, do you think that timing has kind of left him with?
But he could have waited.
It's like
he could have waited. I think if he'd got, like, because we know how this works. If he'd have got, a message back from Hooksy saying, well, obviously Hooksy's probably the one's going to get cut, so maybe not the best example. But if he got a message back from one of these top teams saying, "Oh, maybe wait till summer. We don't know what's happening yet." Do you think he signs with Fnatic a month before the end of the season? I think he must have got a pretty clear idea that nothing's going to happen,
maybe,
unless you sign with us. I think that's the only way I can look at this and it makes sense. He must have talked to Falcons and they've gone, "We don't want you." Sorry, or at least his agent. At least his agent should have talked to all of these people and found out. Otherwise, signing this early is stupid. But I don't think he'd be that stupid. I think it's because it's the best he could get at the time.
I mean, there is also the chance that, we've said that blameF is a change to the transfer policy of Fnatic, and he's a statement signing, and it's that type of signing where it's like, okay, if Fnatic are willing to sign this player, they've got a young star in Mattis, and they've got a solid fifth in Crims, and we'll talk about the other two pieces as we go along, because that'll be my next point, at least in regards to body, is, did blameF actually just receive the best pitch from Fnatic, and Fnatic turned around and were like, look, this is where we're at the moment, but we'll bring you in, we'll see what happens, and if it doesn't, if we don't pick up that much, then
it's how much to sign for.
We can go out and get some people, like, we can upgrade on the pieces that don't work. Like, do you think that could be a thing? Because I could see that being a thing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember if did they talk about how long his contract was? Because
I don't remember anything in terms of
he'd only just signed a new deal at Astralis.
Yeah, I don't remember
only
contract
just signed
or
a new deal at
transfer
Astralis.
fee being...
I don't think it's a short-term deal. It's a big boy. I think if you've got blameF out of Astralis, you paid a lot of money.
Well,
so
I'd assume so.
It's definitely not a see how it goes thing. It's you know, and maybe blameF does sit more like he saw his complexity stint where, but at the end of it, he was kind of the star man. He's rebuilding his stock, but I mean, it'd be fine. It's fnatic. It's like a household name, right? I would much prefer the timeline where they have promised him a lot of things that maybe it's going to be quite hard to deliver, but have got blameF in the door, and then they can build around blameF rather than it being a stepping stone. Like Fnatic's team, this is a major winning org. It shouldn't be a stepping stone org. I hope this is a change of approach and not just a one-off.
Well, as well, that's the thing about it. Is like if you've got fnatic with blameF as a star piece, there's very few star pieces as good as blameF. You're then looking at the capability of another team stepping into what is now actually quite a competitive top 10 or so. Like, we're looking at Astralis. Astralis look like they could win a trophy at any given moment. FaZe are always up there. Mouse are always up there. Vitality are always up there. G2 have proved why they can win a trophy at any given moment. It's hard to see that Falcons, with all their money, are going to stay at the level they're at. And then, even outside that, you've got VP, who a bit down in the dumps at the moment, but when VP get going, it might be slow, but it's fucking hard to stop them. Like, we could actually have another team come into that and make, what's that, just under 10 teams that are extremely competitive.
The top 10.
I didn't even mention Spirit. Like,
yeah, the top 9 looks pretty.
It's a really good mix. It's a really good mix, and going back to last week, Liquid should have been in it, and it's hard to see Liquid not still trying to be in that mix. Like, it really could be a good time. This blameF move could be a catalyst for Fnatic to get back to the top. It's just, unfortunately, it is a long road back to that point. And I think one of the biggest stumbling blocks they'll get to on that road is blameF's maybe ego and the relationship he builds with Body. Because Body, he did very good work in the French scene with, was it 3D Max he was on? It was one of the French teams that were actually kind of shit, but also
it was like the
shit
heat nonsense, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like he did solid work with a core for a while.
He was on Falcons as well.
Oh yeah,
you might be thinking more on Falcons. He was in Heat.
I am thinking.
He was in double podium Heat 2022 basically, and then went to Falcons.
I am thinking more of Falcons. You are right. But so you've got Body, who's done solid work. He's proven he's a decent standard of leader. Then you brought in blameF. You brought in someone who, to my knowledge, has previously moved an IGL out of the team, who has been an IGL. I know he said he didn't want to IGL anymore, but do you see him sticking to that like Nico, or do you see maybe he gets in a position where he's like, actually, I'm not sure if Body's the piece I believe in, I can do this job better, and get stuck IGLing again? Like, what do you think to that?
Oh, I don't want him anywhere near him leading again. I just don't.
No, I think there's
because it is what Device says. Yeah, do I think it will happen? I think I'm a bit worried about it because I think the step down to Fnatic is a step down where blameF is probably the best in-game leader on the team and the best player on the team, and I don't think it'll be good for him to be like, he kind of needed humbling, I guess, a little bit. I think playing in this team's not going to humble him because he's going to get 1.3 ratings in every online cut. Like, don't think it's going to make him change the way he thinks about the game at all. So maybe, but also I think he's not an idiot. He's not an idiot. I think he knows for tier 1, to win at tier 1, I think he should just concentrate on being like the star rifler. I think that's what everyone around him should be telling him to do. It's just, yeah, I'm not going to be penned down. I don't think we know if he's open to doing it again. I think for everything he's saying right now is like he doesn't, but he also hates doing interviews. So who knows if anything will even come out.
The thing is, I'm not saying that, you know, he's sat there and he's actively thinking about returning to the role. I'm saying that in, you know, 3-4 months' time, if there's little progress, even if they make further changes, that he isn't sat there, you know, like you said, still without being humbled, where he's like, could just do the job better, and then just accepting it as an inevitability. That's my worry. And that doesn't mean that I think... That doesn't mean I think that it would be ultimately a bad thing, because, like, we can't have defended blameF in the past without defending him as an IGL. It was just very clear that Astralis was never going to work, and blameF realistically did have to be the casualty of that. I will still defend him as an IGL. I'd rather see him as a star. I'll still defend him as an IGL. So I'm not saying it would necessarily be a bad thing. I'd just rather it's a thing that, you know, didn't come to pass.
Yeah, well, it's like you've talked about as well, the star IGL. Like, if you're right about this star IGL thing, then he's perfectly suited to being that guy. But yeah, I think I'd rather go back to a more conventional, you know, he's the best player on your team, so let him focus on that and just be a secondary caller, and, you know, that'd be fine.
I mean, if the star IGL era does come to pass, fair fucks fnatic, because you signed a fucking good one early on. Like, you'll be ahead on that matter. Yeah. That will be a big bonus.
I'm still not convinced it will be a thing, but we'll see.
I'm just not convinced it won't be a thing. I'm not saying it will be.
I just think
I'm not saying it
lose
would be
against
a meta.
cadiaN and Shui all the time.
Well, I'm not saying it would be a meta in the sense of, like, you know, your little shitty support IGL's article or whatever the fuck you were talking about. I don't know. I don't read your shit, but I actually did read that one. Right. That was a good. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I did read that one. It was a good article.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it would be, you know, that type of meta, but I'm just saying I think there's a world where if you look at the ages of these IGLs, the carragans and the snappies, the ones that you consider a more traditional IGL, you know, there isn't really fucking many of them around. Like, it, and with that idea of supportive IGL, to me, it just seems as a logical evolution that at least some teams are going to try. And when you've got, you know, Nico showing that he isn't completely terrible at it, which I don't think he ever was, to be honest. He just never made sense, and Twist probably would be exceptional. Device is proving he could be, you know, he could potentially be the best IGL of all time. It's just going to be very difficult to reach the rings culture argument of Fallen. You know, there's a world where you could see a host of these top teams with star IGLs, and that just becomes an evolution of that support IGL meta.
So I think this is, and in direct relation to blameF, I think it's something Device even said. He doesn't think the way Blame plays makes it very easy to be an off the server captain. Because I think in game we know, like, you know, he plays this kind of weird loose system. It's kind of mid, whatever. But like most teams play like that. You can win tournaments playing like that. It's more his actual captaincy that I don't see, because I think you'll look at blameF and you'll think, fucking hell, he did bait me that round, didn't he? Like, you know, we've played with people who are baiters. They're not going to be leaders. You can have them. You can deal with them. You can deal with them being around, but they're never going to be like leadership figures. And I think with blameF, he just has to be a secondary voice. He has to lead by example, by being a very good player, by doing all his demos, by coming up with good mid-rounds. But he's not going to be a captain. I don't see him ever being like a true leader of men captain. I think that was always the thing in Astralis. I never saw that happening. And that's kind of what came to pass. So that's...
Which really?
So yeah.
Like, I do think that is a funny thing about blameF though, because, like, I think, and this is like a purely judge a book by its cover kind of point, but when you do see him, like, he's such like a fucking presence, because he is just fucking massive.
So he's a big brother, not like a father figure.
Yeah, like it, but he also, like, He just seems like he could be that kind of father figure. And I just don't know if he's
like the big brother that dangles him out the window. That's what he is. He's your big brother who bullies you relentlessly, but you still kind of like look up to him. That's what he is. That is what blameF is.
Do you have some issues from your childhood?
Oh yeah, I got dangled. But it's fine. We're still here. I'm just saying that's what it is. This is not,
I kind of explain.
You're not knocking him on your doors.
Like, it really does.
It only happened once. It's quite funny, to be honest. Like,
you got dangled and you were like, fucking hell, I'm going to stay in my room now and stare at spreadsheets.
Yeah, no, it's an isolated instance. What I'm saying is this is the environment. blameF is the leader of your friend group. He is, he's not a leader in that way. He's the leader in that guy's kind of cool, but he's kind of scary. You're not going to open up to him. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the type of thing. So that's maybe what fnatic need there. And maybe we should start talking about body before, any more childhood trauma comes out.
Send into madness. Right. So let's talk about body. Fucking hell. Let's talk about body because, I've already said body has proven that he is at least competent.
Yeah.
But does that make him the right man for the job? And I'm not saying I've kind of highlighted another option. I know you have, and we'll speak about that other option because, I've also said I think that option is best case scenario for that person. But as well, I'm not sure it's the best case scenario for this team. Maybe it is because you've got blameF. But if we look away from that and we look at sticking with body, do you think even if they were to change other parts of the team, that body can actually be that guy that when they're in the top 10, provided they get to that level, that you don't then look at body as the bottleneck?
Yeah, I think body's more than serviceable. I think he's shown a lot already in fnatic. Like, I know they've been kind of dog shit, but when you watch them, I think you can see that he is someone who's really trying. I think it's kind of he is that kind of experienced head who's having to deal with quite young players and having to deal with a system that features, some space for everyone. I think also he's changed his role a lot already. Like, they've only played 4 different maps since blameF came in, but body has been entering and anchoring on all of them. Like, he has been full bitch. And that's not what he was before at all. Because QB was he had a lot of the shit CT roles. But now it's body. It's fully body and Crims now anchoring. So this is a good sign, I think. I think he's taking it seriously. I think he understands what blameF needs. He will go around first for blameF. That's kind of step one of being an IGL blameF in your team. It's why, you'd want to pair him with Hooksy, not Alexi or Apex, because, you need an entry. And the thing about it is, it's hard to know, but then most Ingham leaders kind of come from places like kind of similar to where body's like career trajectory, like it's kind of makes sense. Like, he was this supportive element on the young supportive element on the French super team in like 2017. Like, it's a long time ago now, but he's definitely got a lot of experience that for me should put him in good stead. I think role wise, he's doing the right things. I think he is clearly trying to set up his teammates. It's just the ceiling thing of his calling, like how much tactical depth is there really for someone who's only done it for like a year and a half. So yeah, it's a bit like that. But again, there's not many IGLs on the market, and it only really becomes a discussion because there's one IGL we like very, very highly about to come into the market. That's the only reason it's a discussion. I think some people might not listen. It's cadiaN. We're talking about cadiaN. But if cadiaN wasn't on the market, I don't think you'd be looking at replacing body anytime soon. I think he's as good as that cluster of kind of B-tier IGLs that are out there.
Well, yeah, and that's why I asked the bottleneck question, because it's like, realistically, if cadiaN wasn't in the back of our minds, would we even mention it? Like, now that you've got blameF, you've added to the team's firepower, you've got Mattis, who looks like he can become a star, you've got Crims, who is reliable. I really don't think we would be mentioning it, especially if body is willing to adapt to become what his star needs. And yes, there might be a lack of tactical depth that comes with his like relative experience in the role right now, but there's nothing saying that couldn't improve, and there's nothing saying that blameF couldn't help that improve either. You know, if blameF comes in and he's like, oh, this is how I think we should react in mid-rounds, like, I've been watching all these demos because all I do is gym and Counter-Strike. Like, you know, there's a world where blameF elevates body to a point where it's like, okay, you will never be the bottleneck of this team. But I think if we're going to talk about cadiaN, which we are, then before we do that, we need to talk about Afro. Because we also wouldn't be discussing cadiaN, I don't think. Or maybe we would, and we'd be talking about him as a rifler. But maybe we wouldn't be as willing to have that discussion as we are if Afro was, you know, any good in the slightest. Because unfortunately, Afro just isn't very good. But I'll let you take it from there. Because I know that we both thought Afro would be good.
Yeah, and I'll admit exactly why. I thought Afro was going to be good because Device said he stole a few openings from him. That's why I thought Afro was good.
Yep.
Because Afro was one of these people who was farming online for 3D Max. He was really putting up great numbers, and it's kind of the Nikados thing of an aggressive AWPer farming tier 2, takes the step up, is much worse, can't pull off the same moves, gradually gets less confident, less consistent, doesn't take the shots he used to try and take. And he is now just this kind of like, he's okay. Like CT side, he's still okay. Like it's like one. I don't want to spread fake information. Hang on. He's like 106 since blameF joined, and that is bad. Like the average CT AWPer is like 114 basically. Like it's like 110 to 115. I've looked at it now. That is the level. T side, it's kind of fine if you're above 1. Basically, everyone's kind of shit at T side AWPing. But at CT side, you need your impact from your AWPer, and he is an aggressive AWPer. So if he's going 106, you know, it's not good. And they're like winning a lot of these maps in this like kind of small sample size. So it is a concern. It is a concern. Question of replacements. I think Nork just wanted to play with Hampus, so he was just gone. Who else is there? AWPing's very hard at this level.
I mean, there's one
to
obvious.
Find a clear upgrade on someone like Afro.
Hades.
Or cadiaN.
Like
Hades.
If you weren't going to look at cadiaN, which I think, you know, we should talk about normal AWPers and body first. Hades is the most obvious one. Like by far to me is the most obvious one. Ents isn't an org that's going to want to have someone sat on the bench, especially someone who realistically should have resale value like Hades. The only issue is if he's being benched from Ents after being their best player, it's probably because he's a knobhead. Like,
yeah, there's also Regali, same person we said met last episode. He used to play for Fnatic Junior. Like, he's just signed for Entropic, but fuck those guys, just buy him.
I mean,
give Smoothie another go. Shits and gigs.
Let's not do that.
Don't do that. Definitely.
No, let's not.
I do like story still.
Yeah, I know me and you.
Yeah, you're into Hades level.
Soul players.
You're into Hades level. Acor.
I think Hades is definitely better than Acor.
It's the thing. I'd rather gamble on. Like, I'd rather do what Game Legend did and just be like, you know, I've got this bottomless pit of bad AWPers, and it's, well, not bad AWPers, but like, you know their level, you know their ceiling. Because I think it's what NOP did as well. I think NOP and Game Legend, to their credit, were like, no, we need to dip into maybe the tier below, but the high potential. I like the Wrinkle and Slen pickups.
I feel like Wrinkle was more hyped up than Slen, though. Well, I'm not sure they're exactly this. I know what you're saying. I'm not sure they're
more hyped up, but also like someone else could have gone for Wrinkle in the last year. People didn't. People didn't do didn't put in effort to do like the personality scouting. Like, can he speak English? What's he going to be like? Is he still going to be like the assertive, aggressive AWPer that he has been in NIP? Like, I think NIP did good work finding Wrinkle, honestly. Again, it's not a slam dunk. None of these moves are slam dunks. I think you do want a star AWPer. I think, of course you do. I think the Argil and the AWPer are just the two most important things on every team. And then the star rifle is probably third, honestly. I think probably AWPer and IGL are still the two priorities. And they're kind of Fnatic's 2 weakest points, kind of. Like, maybe harsh on body. Is body a better IGL than 2024 Crims as an anchor? Maybe. Don't know. Pretty close.
Well, yeah, Crims is another
So you
one.
are well. So you are kind of at this stage of there's a lot of Awpers. Are any of them good? Are any of them nice teammates? Does it matter if they're a nice teammate? You are asking these questions that every single tier 2 team is asking. Not even tier 2, every single tier 1.5 team.
So
There's a lot of teams that want a good Awper.
I do have one outside suggestion. So there's this guy, right? And
God.
he's really, really good at the game. He's not as good as he used to be, but he's still really good. And he's looking for a way to come back to the game. And we've already spoke about one statement signing. Tell me it wouldn't be fun to see Simple on fnatic.
We're not doing this.
No, seriously. Tell me it wouldn't be fun.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
Nah, he's not. He's not that guy, man. He's not the guy who drops down to fnatic. He will be teamless until a team he thinks is worthy of a sell.
Okay, no.
What are we talking about?
No,
Simple
Harry,
buyout.
Harry, think about what we've said. I know the money thing, but let's ignore the money thing because the money thing suggests you're probably going to get fucking Hades or someone lower down like Regali. Whatever.
Well, even that might be too expensive. They'll probably just keep.
Well, yeah, probably keep Afro and not get any better. But let's just pretend money doesn't exist for a minute, right? And let's talk about what we've already spoken about.
How your articles goes, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's the fun of it, you prick. But like, at least they're not boring number spam. Anyway, they've changed the transfer policy. They've made one statement signing.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, they could turn around to Simple and be like, look, we've got a star rifler. Like a real star rifler. We've got solid other pieces. Come and be the star Awper. Take us to the next level. It will never happen. But
so what are we talking about it then?
But tell me it wouldn't be
every
the
episode.
No.
Until he joins the Twist of Valorant.
No, but tell me it wouldn't be the thing that would do what we said earlier on in the episode. It would turn them into a contender. Even if Body has a fucking bottleneck, it would turn them into a contender. Like, it would be so good. It would be so good. And this is the best part.
But what have we just said about every team needing an Awper? Is fnatic really the place Simple's going to land?
But think about it. This would be the best part, right? Can you imagine the fight that blameF and Simple would get into? All that time Simple was spent in hotel rooms shadowboxing and beating up insects because he's not got the room clean. And blameF, like, we get to find out if he actually is just a pussy or not. It'd be the best thing to ever happen to Counter-Strike. That's really why I want it. I don't actually care about the server. It's the shit off the server. It'd be so good. Can you imagine the vibe check in a best of 3? The best of 3 vibe check would be immaculate.
I mean, their comms would be
so good.
They would be good. It'd be good to listen to the comms.
So good.
I'm not convinced while talking.
See, this is what you've got to remember, right? My little fantasy team building, it's nothing to do with how good they'd be in the server. It's just pure vibes, and the vibes of that team would be fucked. It'd be fucking incredible. I'd have to support
horrendous.
it. I would have to support it. But no, right? Frank Lampard moment. In all seriousness, I do think Hades.
Seriously?
I do think Hades.
Hades is one. Is Hades better than Manti? Kind of. So the thing of Hades, he's good. He is good. But the shots he misses are the ones you remember. He has got that kind of, overpass pillar. You know the one. It's things like that.
Yeah, and you know what?
He does do that quite often.
Admittedly, I kind of forgot about Manti. And I think, and this is just speculation, but I think given his
He's in 9 now, obviously.
Like, given his rating, and I know Ents, obviously, you look at someone like Poddy and it's like, okay, that's like resale value. It makes sense for the org, all that shit. Given his rating, it's still weird to me that Ents were willing to pull the plug to do that, which to me suggests that Hades probably didn't get on with a couple of members in the team. And I think when you consider 3 of those, 2 of the team is people that he joined Ents with, probably a worrying sign. So I think Hades might be better than Mantu. But I think if you're talking about team chemistry and building a good environment, Mantu probably is actually the better option because he's probably not that much worse and he's still better than
I just
Afro.
want to get this straight. So you suggested simple, but for team chemistry reasons you wouldn't have Hades, who's actually a lovely bloke.
But I suggested simple because the chemistry would be awful. It'd be really funny to watch.
Right, okay,
and if it did work, it'd be great.
Yeah, so, but the question is a Hades or a Mantu or some random tier 3 bloke that isn't on my spreadsheet because it's got a top 50 filter. Is that better than doing the old-fashioned 2 birds, 1 stone? Is cadiaN a better upper than Hades? Not CS2, but if he was happy. Is a happy cadiaN a better upper than Hades? I don't think they're miles off.
So here's the thing, because we had to circle back round to cadiaN. We had to do it. Here's the thing. They might not be miles off, but we know that this Liquid team has not been a happy home for cadiaN. So we actually don't know where cadiaN's at. cadiaN could come into a team and cadiaN could be fucking phenomenal. Like, he really could be, like, as good as he ever was. He could potentially be even better because now he's spurred on by pure hatred and vengeance.
You're going to be there next time you played him, that's for sure.
Well, yeah. And that's kind of the most exciting thing about talking about cadiaN and fnatic is, you know, we've said Body might have a bottleneck, and we know Afro is the current bottleneck. You get cadiaN at cadiaN's normal level, he's better than Afro. Straight up better than Afro. You also get an IGL that is better than Body. And I think this is the best thing about cadiaN, is that cadiaN would also have a Stown. I'm not saying he didn't have a Stown at Liquid, but
a very different Stown.
But if he's got the team that he's now actually can work with, he'd have that star rifler that he likes. Like, I really do think that if I'm cadiaN right now, I'm looking at fnatic, and that probably is the best landing spot for him.
Yeah, I think we're probably right thinking it is the best landing spot for him because, you know, I don't think Body's completely wedded to being an IGL forever. I think if someone like cadiaN came in, he'd be fine carrying on his kind of entry anchor duties. There are players who can do that, but very few good ones, at least. Like we were talking before, Chaos. You're already sticking Chaos in. I'd have a go at Cypher. I think it'd be funny to try and poach Cypher and be like, you know, they signed that Jacob bloke. Get Cypher.
Pause a moment.
Pausing.
You were a fan of Chaos in this team. I reminded you that would be an awful move.
Well, I just think Chaos is just...
He's not a good player, mate.
It's a profile thing.
He's not a good player.
It's a profile thing. It'll take all the bad roles. No.
Okay, here's the thing, right?
He'll take Hooksy roles and be better than Hooksy, just. It's the Stewie thing. Someone with good mechanics in Hooksy roles, you just win IEM Dallas.
But this is
you know what I mean?
But this is the thing, though. Like, you're mentioning the profile, and the profile's fine, but there are other players with that profile who will be better than Chaos. Like, Chaos...
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd just keep Body, obviously.
He's a tier 2 player. He is a tier 2 player.
Yeah. But there's not many tier 1 profiles for that. But yeah.
No, but he's a tier 2 player that will never be tier 1. There is likely a tier 2 player who will be tier 1 who has that profile. Like,
I've looked at it.
Chaos isn't the answer.
There's not loads. There's not loads of overlap between entry and anchor. It's not loads. I'd like to see someone like Crown from Gaming Gladiators get a little step up, but I don't know.
Awful org name, by the way.
Too much of a star. Too much of a star on CT at least. You do just need a bitch for blameF. I think Body can just be that bitch. I wouldn't spend money on a buyout for someone who's just going to have terrible roles.
Because you brought it up, I would like to go back to Cypher. I think Cypher would be very fun. I also think Cypher,
for sure.
Cypher next to cadiaN and blameF might end up bloodied in a ditch somewhere. To be honest.
Okay, but back to my the cadiaN point. We've talked a lot now about Liquid weren't soldiers. They weren't soldiers for cadiaN. Is fnatic soldiery enough? Because I don't know if they are. Crims is not a soldier. Crims is a veteran who will take some anchor roles. He's not a soldier.
Okay, so here's because you brought up...
Mattis is a young star. He
could be moulded.
He's fine. He could be the Gabby. Fine. blameF plays Stound's positions, baits like Stound, but thinks about the game very differently to Stound, as we saw with, the whole Astralis thing.
He's at least going to have
was out the door before he started talking about how shit the system was.
He's at least going to have that Danish background.
But blameF doesn't feel... This is why it was always weird that he was on Astralis. He doesn't feel part of the kind of Danish tactical identity. He feels like very much like an international player. Because...
This would be an international team.
You see how Astralis played. They played like a shit international team. You see what he kind of fits into. That's kind of, the role is an international fragger, like in complexity. It's not what Stam's doing in Astralis, which is playing the same roles, getting a lot of star power out of it, but doing it in a much more teamwork focused way. But it's an eye test thing. They're doing the same thing, but it just feels much better when Stam's doing it. Right? Yeah. So is it soldiery enough for cadiaN to come into? And they should be, because they're a lower level. And even if cadiaN's stock has taken a bit of a hit, I think he should be able to command a lot of respect in this team.
But even then, right? I know we talk.
I also think at that point you'd have enough experience to bin off Crims for like a young anchor, which would respect cadiaN. That'd be fun too.
I'll get to that. But I know we're talking about it not being soldiery enough, but we're talking about that very much in the heroic cadiaN mindset. There still is the world where cadiaN was willing to tone that down on Liquid. He still needed it, but it was toned down. We're talking 50%. And the Liquid players were like, nah, we need like 5%. Like, if he could go on fnatic and he could get them at a 50%, it could work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not going to be completely like heroic. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying...
Well, look, Harry, if it doesn't work...
I think blameF is hard to get that from.
If it doesn't work and cadiaN doesn't adapt, he's done. He may as well become a coach.
Maybe, but I think cadiaN would be able to be like any other IGL. It's just I don't want to see cadiaN do what the other IGLs do. I want to see a cadiaN team be a cadiaN team. That's the thing. Like I'm not.
No, I agree.
It's not even necessary for him to be
successful. But you've got Astralis for that.
Do you have Astralis for that now? But that's less fun. That's the, it's the tacky rip-off. It's the tacky rip-off.
I think 2017
the
Harry
big corporation.
would love it, actually.
It's an industry plant, is what it is.
2017 Harry would love it.
Not us.
2018, 2019
but that was when Astralis were underdogs.
2019 Harry's probably screaming "fuck refresh," and then secretly.
Yeah, we didn't like them. We didn't like refresh.
Not like them.
But this is the thing. It's a different time. It's a different time, and you can't support Astralis now. No, that's what's happened, right? But yeah, blameF and cadiaN on the same team.
You'd look really good before. You'd look really good with like a yellow and green scarf when you're saying that.
Yeah, actually, great time. They've played together before. Who IGL'd that heroic
so
team?
I was going to say this earlier. When I said blameF,
Snappy was in it still, wasn't he?
I said blameF had pushed someone out of IGLing. Right. In my head...
Is it cadiaN?
No, in my head, I think cadiaN pushed Snappy out of IGLing, and then I think blameF pushed cadiaN out of IGLing. I think
maybe
that's
they
how
weren't
it
there
went.
at the same time. I think Snape's a snappy blameF thing, not a... I think cadiaN joined
blameF
after blameF left. We've got
cadiaN
it's
has
online
definitely...
era, so neither of us were watching. This is fucking
cadiaN has definitely pushed Snappy out of IGLing. I know cadiaN has done that, 100%.
Okay, cadiaN replaced blameF, basically. cadiaN arrived as blameF left. So blameF
that
and
makes sense.
Mertz.
Yeah.
Mertz, lol. So blameF and Mertz
Mertz.
were playing together. Mertz left, they got NATO Sapphics, and then NATO Sapphics and blameF left, and they got Borup and cadiaN. Blame was replaced by Borup on heroic. So they haven't actually played together. Which is good, because if we'd been waffling this whole episode, it turns out they just like already have cut each other once.
And just hate each other.
That would have been bad. Yeah,
It
so
would've-
cadiaN's kind of renaissance happened after blameF left heroic, so it's fine. It was snappy. So Snappy really must not rate him then, because why isn't he on fucking Falcons? He actually played with him. Did they? Yeah, he did. Snappy came back because it was the Freiburg team. When I think of blameF and heroic, I do think of the Freiburg team, not the Snappy team.
Yeah. I remember now.
But yeah, anyway, OB, yes, cadiaN and blameF should have a go. Two people whose stock is lower than it deserves to be. It could be really fun, because blameF in those roles would be amazing, obviously.
But so, let's speak about the fifth member, because we've said that we look to keep Body in these roles. I think Body's one of those where if there was someone better, you'd maybe then, pull the trigger and
But it's going to be hard to
bring
find someone better.
in. No, I agree. But let's talk about Crims, right? Because Crims,
Yep.
as the fifth, probably fine. But there's a but. Crims isn't as reliable as he once was. He's kind of accepted where he needs to take steps back. That's fine. Good on him for doing that. Still not as reliable as he once was. And he's 30 already? Crims
I think he's exactly 30, yeah. If I remember.
doesn't have too long being realistic. And Crims is the other bottleneck we've not mentioned right now. He's fine. But
it's
again,
an old team. It's an old team.
Well,
other
yeah.
than Mattis.
So is there someone else that you could potentially look at and think, okay, you bring this person in and suddenly we're talking about, we're at a higher level already, or rather we've at least extended the lifespan of this team.
Oh, there's so many. The star anchor area is really here. There's no reason to have, sorry, Cribs. There's no reason to have it. There's so many people out there. You could get someone like Zyphon, who's been kind of forgotten in all the TSM nonsense. You could spend all your money on Crimbo, which wouldn't happen. But Crimbo's the dream signing for basically every European team.
I was going to mention,
but it's those types of players. It's those types of players, right? You could get like one of the kind of the tier 2 boys. I think Flamus would have been great. Gone to Game Legion now. Clax. Clax is really good. Rejected Cloud9 though, so probably wouldn't say yes to fnatic. Not sure about his English, but there's a lot of players. Xanta was on Flamus's team. He's a decent anchor. He's got a good rating. Goody's played 2 maps. His rating's probably not as good as it looks.
You are just picking names out of a fucking hat now, aren't you?
I'm just on the ratings page. I'm on the ratings page, and it's anchors. Jota from Sangle. He's supposed to be. I've heard people talk things about him.
I mean, honestly,
my boy Altex. I'd stick him in. I'd stick Altex in. I think he'd be pretty great.
Okay.
It's something weird with him going as well, by the way, because he was like, someone said he signed for Apex, and then Apex transfer listed their entire roster. So he got like.
I remember that.
So I think he's currently benched on Apex. I think is what's happened. Like I think he had.
Surely they didn't let him sign the contract. Surely,
because he should be a free agent, right? He should be a free agent in theory because he was a free agent and then he was linked with Apex and then Apex killed their team. So he should be a free agent again. But I'm pretty sure he signed his Apex contract, which is completely fucked. By the way, it's really bad for his development. If they are going to have to spend money on
that can't be real.
I mean, HW has him as a free agent. I'd be like,
does he follow you on Twitter? Because you've spouted so much love for him that
I've glazed him.
Just DM him, bro.
Yeah, he does.
Just ask him right now.
Oh, it says it says free agent in his Twitter bio. Okay, I'm waffling. Forget all that.
Well, in
he's
that
a free agent. Get him in the team.
In that case, Altex. I was going to say I really like
Altex,
the sound of Zyphon.
Blame Mattis, unreal. But Zyphon's in TSM, and it's going to be TSM. Still haven't announced it, but that's going to be like a fine Danish.
Yeah,
nonsense
okay,
roster.
yeah, fine.
Probably
Yeah,
will cost some
Altex
money.
then.
Get Altex in, boys.
Altex
What
could
we
be
doing?
so good.
He is a bit aggressive. The aggression on this roster would be a bit weird. But actually, no. What am I waffling about? It's a cadiaN team. It's good. They're going to have 3 aggressive riflers, blameF and cadiaN. We solved it.
We've actually solved. We fixed
GMs?
Fnatic. We fixed
And
Fnatic.
it's free as well. Altex is free.
Well, cadiaN's not going to be cheap, I imagine.
No. It'd be cheaper than Liquid's paid for it, I imagine.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
ultimately,
and
worth
they've
it.
some money with blameF though.
Really
They
worth
must have had some PC or something. Where are they doing well in Valorant or something? Where's the money come from for blameF?
They're doing shite this year, but they should be the best team in the world and have been the best team over the last few years.
Who are their sponsors? We need to check this money situation.
Jack Links, I believe.
They're an English fucking org, man.
Aren't they sponsored by a beaker
Jack Links.
company?
InZone, Jack Links, Betify,
To be
Amazon.
fair, actually,
Amazon,
do you know what?
Amazon, Sony, Steelcase.
Oh,
Amazon
didn't
and
they, like-
Sony. You can
didn't they,
afford
like,
Cadian
hide-
with Amazon.
I'm pretty sure, didn't they hide the Amazon sponsorship? Wasn't that something weird? I'm sure I saw. No, I think
Why?
so. I think they ran like a
Well,
competition
they have Asus as well,
recently.
don't they?
I think they ran a competition recently, and someone did an article about it where it was like they're just
No.
they're making this seem like a giveaway, and it's definitely like a sponsored thing. But Fnatic haven't announced any form of partnership, and maybe they've since announced it. If you've just said that,
I just went on their website and now there's an Amazon logo on it.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there was definitely a thing I've seen with Fnatic and Amazon, and something suggestions being a little dodgy. But yeah, they can afford it. It's the
Fine,
point.
dodgy's fine.
Also, I'm just
Also,
saying
they've
that
got
beef
Keita,
jerky sponsorship.
Keita.
That
Keita
beef jerky
Keita.
sponsorship is absolutely why
He's
blameF
alright.
signed for that team. He's going through.
No, it's the
bags
link
of
back
that
up with
stuff.
it's the link back up with Keita from Complexity, obviously.
Was he the
He's
complexity?
he knows what he's doing. Yeah. For like 2 years.
Honestly, didn't realise that.
Yeah, the Juggernaut. Keita was a coach of Juggernaut.
I'm the juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, what a line.
So
Watch that
so
classic film the
blameF
other day.
IGL inbound.
Yeah,
That-
that is troubling, isn't it?
No, I
that
think-
is troubling.
Right, okay. So we've done it again. We've
actually
dreamt
done
up
it.
the
We've
most fun
accidentally-
Fnatic roster
Do you know what the
for,
most
for
fun
8
part
years.
is? This time we've done it accidentally.
Danish core.
Danish
It
core.
would be heroic. Would it be heroic? I think it would be heroic.
Wait, are we talking
No,
like?
maybe not. Nurse and Dexter
Are we
are
talking
really
current?
good.
Okay, we are talking current.
No, old heroic would smack it around, obviously. Old heroic is so much better than this.
Okay. You form this team. They play each other at Cologne. No, it doesn't beat heroic. They play each other at Cato next year.
Ooh.
They have a very good chance. And I think both of those, I think if you form this team, obviously it would get better, and I think heroic will be better by Cato than they will be in Cologne, and I think they'll have the same 5.
Yeah.
I think Fnatic could win that. I think it's a really solid fucking team.
Win Cato?
No, not Cato, you twat. The man. The fucking penis. But like,
Fuck it. Yeah. Soldier Ball your way to Cato, boys.
But
Come
like,
on.
genuinely, we started this episode talking about would Fnatic become a gatekeeper team? Like, could they become a gatekeeper team? Because that's essentially where we put them, was the gatekeepers. This team, that team we've mentioned, would at least be gatekeepers. And if Mattis develops right, Altex truly finds his feet in Tier 1, they could, surpass the gatekeepers. Realistically,
And we should
they
talk about
could.
Mattis a bit as well. And we should do that. Like, since blameF joined, he's been on a heater. A proper heater.
Yeah. No, he's been very good, and
He's been really good. And he was very
you
well
are
thought
right,
of
we
anyway.
haven't
I
spoken
mean, he's
about-
like kind of a late bloomer. He's 22. But that's fine.
that's still long enough for what this team needs.
Yeah.
We
But he
actually
is a bit of
haven't
a CT
spoken
merchant.
about him
That's
enough.
fine.
I interviewed Crims recently, and Crims did just say like the only thing Mattis lacks is like high level experience, and once Mattis gets high level experience, there's mistakes in his game. Like there really is mistakes in his game that he will cut out really easily, and at that point he will just be a star. Like Crims was really high on Mattis, and it was to the point where like, you know, when a player, like you ask a player about one of his teammates, they're like, yeah, he's good. He's good.
Every time.
Yeah,
he's not as good as me, but he's alright.
But you know, when they actually do believe it, you can kind of hear it's a different thing in their tone. Crims was very high on Mattis. Like he was like, oh no, he will. Like he actually legitimately will just be a top 20 player. Like straight up.
Yeah, a fragging core of blameF, Mattis, and cadiaN is like not terrible. Genuinely not terrible.
No,
like that's
Mattis,
kind of
if Mattis develops as he looks on track to, you've got your Stown Yabby cadiaN. You have it. You then have Altex, who realistically could be as good as Shush. Could be.
I mean, I'll glaze him as much as you want, but better than Shush is a bar that I don't think he's ever going to hit, if I'm honest. He's a bit too erratic.
Or even slightly worse. Like, you know, Crims is ridiculous. Shush is ridiculously good. That he is.
Yes, that's the main problem. We're not shit talking.
You get close to that level, you're doing good. Then, you know, body in the Tess's roles, he's not going to be bad. Not going to be bad at all. And eventually, you know, like
he's very aggressive anyway.
If someone appears, you just get them. You've already saved money on Altex. Brilliant. I think we've done
one day we're going to do this in a team. No, but one day, okay, there's two things are going to happen one day. One, we're going to manage to do an episode without removing half the team. Two, our predictions are going to come true. And I don't know which one will happen first. I think it's possible that neither of them will ever happen, to be honest.
I think this is the best chance we've got.
Well, they're coming true. I mean, it's sensible transfers. You could start a series called Sensible Transfers, and it would be putting out
someone should do that. Someone should make a sensible transfers.
Yeah, shit, that's such an original idea from me. Wow, crazy.
It is, yeah. But seriously,
no one's ever done that before.
Seriously, I think this might be our best work. I'm impressed with us.
It's like not even unrealistic.
No, it doesn't feel it. You know, like
that's when cadiaN's gonzoed. I mean, I think they probably keep Crims. I don't think they remove Crims from me.
I was going to say, do you know what actually is the unrealistic part? Is Altex getting on this team because they've got their loyalty to Crims, which I don't think is misplaced. I really don't think it's misplaced.
Crims, you don't actually have to remove Crims.
But I do think
like mid-maxing, cadiaN balling, getting aggressive.
I do think
anchoring.
You know, like if you're looking at improving, and you've said the blameF will improve, you have to at least try Altex. You have to give them a couple of tier 1 tournaments. The problem is fnatic just don't play many tier 1 tournaments.
Yeah, well, they're playing Compass starting tomorrow. They're in quite a tough group. I don't think they'll make it out their group.
If they go,
it's not a tough group. It's like a weirdly even group. So their group is Complexity, Eternal Fire, Furia, Bet Boom, Big, fnatic, and it's like 5 best of ones. And blameF could have a 1.4 rating after those 5 best of ones, and they could.
Well,
qualify.
in that case,
and honestly, my fancy is just completely fucked because I'm trying to get blameF in it, and it's hard.
In that case, I actually
not impossible, but hard.
I think this tournament, then, because I actually hadn't looked at the groups, is probably a really good marker of where this team actually can be, because I think even with the limited time they've had together, I think if this team's ever going to be anything, you have to talk about them being in the top 3 in that group. Like, you have to look at it at that the top 3 is Complexity, Eternal Fire, fnatic. It won't be that way because it's fucking best of ones, but you know, if you presume Complexity and Eternal Fire would be
because
there,
they've only played 4 maps because I assume because they just don't have a game plan on the other 3.
But if you're talking like you assume Eternal Fire and Complexity are guaranteed, you know, like if they're not beating Furia, hopeless, because Furia are fucking awful. Bet Boom, realistically, they
there we
should
are.
be. I just don't rate Bet Boom. To be honest, I want to, but I don't.
No, I
And
rate
Big,
Magna Jez and hate the rest of Baboom. Future gender
yeah, it's
against the rest of the hot team.
kind of the way I feel. And then Big, that's the type of team that they need to be beating now to be where they'll want to be and where they should be with blameF. It's, that's actually a tournament that really should be kept an eye on purely on Fnatic. I mean, other than, how does NIP do and whether Astralis do win it, because they should. I think that's going to be a really interesting thing of how Fnatic do at this event. And if they don't do well, then fortunately for Fnatic, we've cooked them a fucking excellent roster, and we'll see them in the top 10 by February. Yeah.
Casper Mueller, here he comes.
Here he comes. Here we go. And with that, I think that's probably where we should call it for this week. So I've been Sam Alamo Mackenzie. He's been Harry Nero Richards. We might be the greatest minds in Counter-Strike, but if you think you know more, tell us what you'd do to Fnatic, or if you do nothing at all. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We might be back next week. Might not. It really
That's
depends
London,
if we
innit?
have the time
We'll see.
to record an episode pre-London. The likelihood of an episode after that, like the next week, fucking zero as well. But we'll be back at some point, because we do like to chat to each other occasionally. So yeah, catch you in the next one.